recording? Okay.
Yes.
So, we were yesterday up to the point of what's called the personality job fit theory. This is basically a theory that particular personalities fit particular jobs. And you got personalities like this one, characteristics. Maybe you can try and see if you can zoom in a little bit. Someone could be shy, but they could be genuine. They could be persistent, very stable, very conforming, and practical. Alright? That could be the guy sitting over there on the back. This guy is very shy, very genuine, very persistent, very stable. Alright? Well, that type of person is called realistic. He's a realistic guy, okay? He prefers physical activities, requires skill. So he wants stuff which requires skill, maybe like accounting, like architecture, strength and coordination, all right? So jobs would be a mechanic, drill operator, assembly line worker, maybe a farmer, okay? Number two will be someone more like me, analytical. I try to analyze things to see what is what and how it works. Original. I try to have original thinking. Curious. I always like to ask questions. Why is this? Why is that? And independent. I try to think for myself. I try to behave on my own. I separated from my family when I was 14 years old. I went to school far away from parents, okay? And I had to deal with everything in life, including food, sleeping, clothes, everything. I was 14 years old. So, we call this investigative type. And it prefers activity involving thinking, organizing, understanding. Biologist, economist, mathematician, and here I am, mostly economist and professor at finance. Okay? Another type will be person, number three, will be sociable. They're friendly, they're cooperative, they're understanding. Well, if they're friendly, cooperative, sociable, that may be the typical, let's say, waitress, okay? That could be the girl at the front desk, okay? They give us here social worker. Could be also a teacher, counselor, clinical psychologist, all right? So this type is called the social type. And a social type prefers activities that involve helping and developing others. And I'd also probably guess, and servicing others. Then you have another type, conforming, very efficient, they do what they're told to do, practical, unimaginable, inflexible. These are the guys who follow the rules, they do what they're supposed to do, they follow the steps strictly, okay? They don't need imagination, you just tell them, do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, okay? Many of these people actually make good bankers. Bankers is a low-level administrator in the bank. So, that's what they say, accountants. Then you have corporate managers. Oh yeah, here you have it. Bank teller, file clerk. Now, conforming, efficient, practical, that could be also university administrator. University administrator. The administrator needs to know the rules, he's got to conform, he's got to be practical, he's got to be efficient, he doesn't need any imagination, doesn't need any flexibility. What he needs is the rules, to understand the rules, he needs to know the deadline. In other words, he needs to know what to do and when. And then he just goes and does it, all right? Next one will be the enterprising type. These are people who are self-confident. They're very ambitious. They're energetic. They try to domineer. They try to run things. They try to control things, okay? So they prefer verbal activities, including opportunities to influence others. So these will be lawyers, real estate agents, public relations specialists. So you see, these are also people who sometimes would manipulate other people. A lawyer's job is also to manipulate other people. Same thing about real estate agents. Same thing about public relations specialists. Same thing about small business. So all of these, you gotta manipulate, you gotta manage other people, you gotta manage their thinking or their perception. And the last one is the artistic type. These people have imagination. There's no order, they are disorderly. They're not practical, they're idealistic. They're also very emotional. They run on feelings, not on analyzing and explaining things. And they're very impractical. These guys will make good camera taking pictures. They will make also good cameramen, right? They're going to be good to operate a camera. They're going to be good for painters, musicians, writers, interior decorators. In more modern day, they will do web design. They're going to be designing the website, okay? You need some to be artistic and imaginative and all of those skills. So you see how you have a number of personality types, realistic, investigative, social, conventional, enterprising, artistic. And for these personality types, you have specific or sample occupations which fit the nature of the person more. So it's a good idea when you manage a business, when you manage that hotel, that you actually understand what kind of person is this one and what job would fit them most. And if you give them a job that fits their personality, they will be a lot more happy. Now, if they're not happy, they're soon just going to leave the job and return there. Okay? They're going to find some other job. So that's on the personality job fit theory. The main idea is that job satisfaction is highest when you have a fit between the personality type and the job type. And the turnover will be lowest. Alright, personality attributes and culture. It is a big question. Do personalities change from culture to culture? And the answer, the big general answer is no. In a certain culture, you may have some characteristics to dominate. Like here they say, most people like to say, oh, we're very, very shy. Okay, so shyness could dominate, but doesn't mean that you don't have people who are very creative, and it doesn't mean you don't have people who are very analytical. So people will still fall within these categories, even though some will be more shy. For example, Asians are a lot more shy than, let's say, Europeans, okay? Or Americans. Americans will be a lot more aggressive, okay? So you will have differences, but the differences from culture to culture to culture will not be as big. For example, Japanese are very, very conforming. They try to fit within society. But again, you have Japanese who are phenomenal scientists. They're phenomenal researchers. okay? They can do biology really good. They can do medicine really good. They can do technology really good. They are very innovative, okay? For many, many years when it comes to consumer electronics, Japanese were #1, okay? When it comes to ordinary cameras to take pictures, Japanese are #1 with Canon and Nikon. When it comes to video cameras, Sony is still the best camera in the world in general, all right? So, doesn't make them bad, they're just different. And just because they're Japanese doesn't mean they don't have people who are imaginative. Yes, they are. They have artistic people, they have thinking, they have all of these characteristics. It's just that some will be a little bit more important and others will not be so important. So that's the main idea about different personality characteristics and culture. And what it's about understanding personality is what I just already explained. Ideally, you should try to understand personality. Again, I'm also trying to understand most of you, but in this class, here's my difficulty. I'm working with 50 people. I cannot possibly understand 50 people. It is very difficult for me to understand 50 people who don't like to speak much anyway, right? And with which I don't talk too much. But ideally, if you're a manager, you will have to understand. Now, if the class was small, of 10 or 12 people, I will usually know everybody by week 2. I will know who's doing what and how they prepare and all the other things. And that really helps. So, knowing the people helps a lot in managing them. Good manager would usually know their people. Of course, good teacher would know their students, but if it's 55 here and 55 in the other class and about 50 in the third one, but 150 students, I can't know most. I just know the few ones that come here on a regular basis, right? Regular students, I do have an idea, at least on face. Okay, so that's about understanding personality. 9.4 is the section on perception. Perception. So, what is perception? Perception is the meaning that we provide to things that we see. The meaning that we provide them to our environment which we observe, including to the people that we see, okay? So, if I have 50 students and we got only 9 coming to class, my perception is that most students are lazy. Now, doesn't mean that they are, and here's the key. Perception doesn't mean truth. It doesn't mean it's true. Only it means that I see it the way it is, okay? That's how I see it. And part of perception is that you may have 3 people and each will see the same thing and see it differently, understand it differently. We call this interpretation. They will interpret it differently. So I'll see it one way, you'll see it a different way, and he'll see it in a completely third way. So perception is how people see things. And this is where culture fits in, because people from different cultures can perceive things in a very, very different ways, okay? That's why it's very interesting when you interview, let's say, and try to understand Japanese culture. It's very easy to talk to the Japanese but you're going to understand the culture a lot better if you talk to a lot of different foreigners. Same thing here with Thai culture. You can talk with all of you and try to understand your culture, but it's a lot easier if I just talk to one Chinese, one American, one Australian, one British, one other, let's say, Russian, and when I ask them, well, what do you think? And they will, again, perceive things very, very differently. And they'll tell me different, we call them aspects from your culture, okay? For example, other professors tell me, maybe true, may not be true, oh, Thais don't like to plan. They don't want to do planning. Well, you don't want to do planning means that you're mostly spontaneous, okay? They don't want to plan 3 months or 6 months ahead of time. All right, this is again the perception. That's what foreigners think, okay? But here's the key. Some of these foreigners may be, by their culture, very orderly. Germans are extremely orderly. They want to plan everything. They want to know what's happening every step of the way. Same thing about Japanese. They want to plan every step of the way, okay? So, some cultures prefer orderliness, and therefore they perceive this here as chaos. Like, well, there's rain coming, so there's just a little bit of rain, we don't go to school, right? Where in the West, we call this a joke. I mean, rain or no rain, you come, okay? You gotta do the work, it doesn't matter. But here, if it's raining, is it okay not to come? Right? Okay or not okay? Yeah, those guys are nodding. Say, yeah, of course, it's raining. If it's raining, you don't come, you don't do anything, you just sleep, right? Well, again, it's a perception, yeah. That's your way of thinking, but our way of thinking is completely different, okay? Now, our way of thinking is, like yesterday, we had an accounting class, and just because it's raining, we had only 3 students, okay? My way of thinking is, the others will fail, okay? They don't do the homework, they don't do the exercise, they don't come to class, they don't have a chance. There's no chance in accounting that if you're not coming, you don't read the book, you don't do the homework, okay? They don't have a chance, okay? So, again, there is in this case, a discrepancy between perceptions. They see things like this, and I see them like that, okay? And there's a big difference in perception about reality. My perception is they gotta be every single time coming to accounting, and they don't have a chance. Well, their perception is, yeah, it's raining, I don't have to come, okay, maybe next time. Or, hey, what's the big deal? I'm gonna take it again next semester, right? Is that okay? No, not okay? Well, I don't know what to think. I'm trying to understand them, why they don't come, all right? But just because it's raining is no big deal. I mean, it's raining, I came too. Yesterday it was raining, I came. Today, this morning it was raining, I came again, okay? So, let's see what we have. Well, they provide example of this. What is it to see? An old lady or a young girl? Well, what do you see? On the picture, is it an old lady or is it a young girl?
Young,
Huh?
young girl.
Oh, she says young girl. Oh, she says old lady. Well, there you have it. You see, immediately now they're ready to fight. One says a young girl, one says an old lady. Well, the answer is, it depends. That's what perception is. You actually have both. Here's the young lady, and these are her eyes. The black one is her hair, and the young lady, these are the ears. Okay, this is the one ear, and this is the chin. Okay, of the lady. Okay, and this is covering the rest of the hair. Okay, so that's the young lady. But you also have a very, very closer mouth of the old woman. And this one is the chin of the old woman. And this one here is the nose of the old woman. And this one here is the eye of the old woman. So you got a very, very old woman. And again, it is how you say it. One says young lady, the other one says very old woman, right? So it is a perception. Exactly the same thing over here. Most people will see, what do you see here? Oh, she immediately says, she sees two faces. Well, I immediately see a glass. This is just a glass. A glass of wine. All right? This is a straightforward glass. But many people will see the one face here on this side. Here's the nose, here's the mouth, here's the chin, here's the eyes, this is the forehead, okay? And same thing here. So immediately she sees two faces, while others immediately see the glass. Again, this is just a simple, easy to understand example of perception. Oh, and you see two faces or an that's what it is, but just like a glass of wine. And here you can see a knight, or you can see a horse. Well, I don't really see it. I mean, I can see something like it, but again, you don't have to see anything. I see more of a horse. I see this is the one leg, this is the other leg, but it's a little tricky. I can't see much on that picture anyway. So that's about perception. Now, perception depends on things like attitude. So, different people with a different attitude will perceive things differently. So, it depends on attitude. It depends on the personality. Different personalities will perceive things differently. Let's see what's the next slide. The next slide number. Perception will also depend on the motives. Okay? It is one way you're going to perceive a person if you think of them as your friend. It is a very different way you're going to see them if you think of them as a customer to make money from. Okay? So, here's the real estate broker. Real estate broker may give to his brother for a particular house one financial advice. But then to some customer they don't know, they're going to tell them a completely different story. Okay? So, again, one and the same house could be seen by an ordinary person as a one way, okay? And by a real estate broker is a different way, okay? For a real estate broker, it's just a property to make a commission on, okay? For someone else, he can see the house, oh, this is a place for my home. This is a place where I'm going to raise my children, okay? This is like a nice, beautiful place where I can spend the rest of my life. Well, what about a finance guy, okay? Or a guy who's studying about debt, okay? You can see the house as a way to enslave people. You make people slaves by making them to borrow the money for the house and work for the next 30 years to pay off the house. So you got someone who's 35 years old, that was, for example, my own brother, okay, who decided to buy a nice, big, beautiful house that's going to be a perfect, place for home, which 5 years later turned out to be a terrible enslavement. Now, 15 years later, he's working for the bank. Well, he's got a job. He's making a lot of money, and most of that money doesn't go for him, goes for the bank, so that the banks make money. And he can't change the city, he can't change anything, simply because he is tied to that house, and he has to keep paying until the last day of his work, until he retires. At 67, he will have to keep paying for it, okay? So, it's a perception. Different people have different specialty and see it in a very different way, okay? Here's another example of perception. Many of you here will have these braces on the teeth, all right? And you have these braces on the teeth, all right? So, some of you can see the braces as, oh, it's a fashion, okay? Others may see it as very cool, okay? That's how they perceive it. But the perception of a dentist will be very, very different. A dentist will see your braces in a completely different way, okay? And then you may have, for example, an evolutionary biologist, a person who specializes in biology and in the evolution of biology. And an evolutionary biologist knows too well. When people got problems in their teeth and they're not very well aligned, this means they have serious health problems. This means that the food they eat is not a good food. This means that teeth are not well aligned because the chin underneath is not big. The bone is not big enough to get all the 16 teeth underneath. The chin above is not big enough. And if the chin is not big enough, the cause is food is not good enough. Means that person is not healthy. Is going to have diseases early in their life. That person is going to be more sick, will have more other health problems. This one means more health problems in the future. Again, it's a perception. This is the thinking of an evolutionary biologist, which is very different from the thinking of a dentist. The thinking of a dentist says, oh, good customer. I'm going to make good money out of you, right? He only sees the customer. He sees bad teeth and say, hey man, you got to come to me so I can fix your teeth, okay? So, it is a very different perception, all right? Now, so for some of us foreigners asking, what the hell is wrong with the teeth of everybody here and everybody's got braces, okay? I mean, what's wrong with everyone having it? So, it's one and the same example I'm giving you, and how 5 different people or group of people will see things very, very, very different, okay? So what else will perception depend? Perception will depend very much on past experience. What you already know. 60-year-old person will perceive things very different from a 20-year-old person, okay? Or a 40-year-old person. It will also depend very much, perception will depend very, very, very much on age. A 10-year-old kid will perceive things very different from a 20-year-old kid, from a 40-year-old kid, okay? And I already mentioned, let's say an example that I can give you is ice cream. 10-year-old kid loves, usually, they love ice cream. And dentist says, ooh, good business. I'm going to make a lot of money out of this kid, okay? Right? I'm going to milk his parents, okay? So, well, what about different type of perception? In this case, it's called, actually, the difference is called point of view. Yesterday, those kids aren't coming to class in accounting. No problem. We're going to fail them on the exam, and we're going to make them pay again next semester, right? Good or bad? And the answer is, it depends on the point of view, okay? Well, for the university, it might not be that bad. You're gonna get, you gotta pay again, all right? From my point of view, it might not be that bad. Hey, I'm gonna have a lot more students next semester again, right? But again, depends. From the education point of view, that's probably not good. It's really bad. From their own point of view, again, it depends. So, again, it's all about perception. And perceptions are very different according to age, according to sex, I already mentioned, according to experience, I already mentioned. It's also according to profession, according to interests. And I mentioned the other 2 or 3, attitudes, personalities, and motive. I gave you the example of ice cream, and the motive of the dentist is make money, okay? I gave you the example of a house, and for the real estate broker is motive, make commission, okay? For the banker, make loan, okay? And for the guy, it could be just make baby and have a happy family life, okay? So it depends on the motive. What do you want to do with it, okay? You may see some foreigner over here, and usually the foreigner here is thought as customer, right? Right? Usually. So we're moving on to the so-called attribution theory. Attribution theory is that we judge people differently, and here is the key, based on what meaning we attribute to their behavior. So we see their behavior and we judge them by how or the meaning we provide to their behavior, okay? So, for example, I just gave you the example, yeah, it's a little bit raining, right? Which is a good excuse, and students don't come. Now, me, I'm thinking, they're lazy, they're not serious students, they're not good students, they're not motivated. Again, doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong, okay? Doesn't make it true, and doesn't make it false. It's just what's me thinking here in my head, okay? Which could be very different from somebody else's, okay? So, attribution theory is based on observing behavior. And observing behavior could be external or externally affected behavior and internally affected behavior. Externally affected behaviors, they don't come to class because it's raining. If it's raining, it was not their fault. It was not in their control, okay? It did not depend on them. They couldn't come because they were far away and it was a risk for their life to ride motorcycle during a bad rain, okay? So we call this externally caused behavior. So if it's an externally caused, it's more of an excuse. If it's internally caused, it's very different. So it very much depends on whether the factor is caused externally or internally. Internally caused is, well, they got last night drunk and don't want to wake up at 8:30 in the morning to come to class, okay? That doesn't happen, at least in Western universities, okay? Or they were playing games all night and chatting and Facebook and whatever, all until 6:30, and then they couldn't wake up at 8 o'clock to come to class, okay? So that's going to be internal, okay? External will be, well, my aunt or my grandmother died, and I had to go to the funeral, okay? That will be external. External will be, well, God forbid, you have a motorbike accident, you have to go to the hospital so the doctors can do whatever it is on your hand, okay? That wasn't exactly your fault because you really wanted it. I mean, nobody wanted to get in a motorbike accident and get hurt, okay? So, one of the characteristics which we judge is interpreted as distinctiveness. And distinctiveness, is this behavior different from other behavior? Is it different from other behavior? And the example is, well, it's raining and nobody's coming to class, okay? So, it will be judged and perceived very differently if out of 50 students, one student comes to class and all the others don't show up, okay? If you're doing like everybody else is doing, it makes it okay. It's okay, right? If you're doing, you know, you're the only one who's doing differently, then it's a whole different story. So, distinctiveness, here's the definition, is whether an individual displays a behavior in many situations or whether it's a particular to one situation, okay? So, does it happen often or does it happen one time, okay? Do they, every time there's a rain, do they just don't come to class every time there's a rain? Okay, well, that's one type of explanation, okay? Oh, every time there's a rain, nobody's coming to class. Don't expect, you know, class canceled, okay? So, that's one type of explanation. So, distinctiveness relates to individual behavior in many situations, whether it is particular to that one situation. Now, consensus is what I've been explaining so far. Consensus is everyone behaving in the same way under the same circumstances? If there is a rain, is everyone just not coming to class? Okay? Is everyone just not coming to class if there is a rain? Okay? And the last piece is called consistency. And consistency is doing the same thing over and over under the same circumstances. For example, consistency is, well, the students are coming always 10 minutes late to class, okay? They just always come 10 minutes late to class. Well, some of them simply learn that, well, nothing happens in the first 5 minutes of class, so I don't have to come the first 5 minutes. I'll just go and be late 10 minutes, okay? That's consistency. And you got students who are always consistently late for 10 minutes in class. But, if the professor checks the attendance for the first 5 minutes, okay? For that professor, they'll be always on time. And they'll be on time because the professor checks for their attendance, okay? So, that will be consistency. And consistency is, if the professor checks for attendance, you always go on time. Oh, he's not checking for attendance, he goes about 10 minutes late or 15 minutes late, okay? And we got here about how the interpretation, I don't want to get into this table too much, about individual behavior. Okay, if it's attribution or cause, I don't want to get into all of this explanation, but you just need to understand the basic ideas of consensus. Yeah, everybody's doing it, so it's okay. Or consistency. Oh, he's always late for class, okay? He's always late for class, all right? Or consistency, for example, we're going to say, oh, he's always asking open open-ended questions. He's never asking multiple choice questions, right? You say, oh, he never asking multiple choice questions, for example. Consistency, oh, he's always recording the video on the camera, so I don't have to go to class. I'll just watch it on YouTube tomorrow, okay? No need to come to class. I'm just going to watch it on video anyway, all right? So all of this is consistency. All right, let's see what else we have. And distorted attributions we're going to do after the break, right? Take a break.